Hello everyone, today the Forgotten Lore channel will tell you a story about the Kushtaka Giant, otter men, which is very mythical and mysterious. Before going into the story, please subscribe to the channel and leave a comment to support the channel. The land of Alaska, home of the Kushtaka, the otter men. Alaska, the frozen land at the northern edge of the world, has since ancient times been the dwelling place of legends, whispers in the long nights, and shadowy figures drifting among the snow and mist. In a place where winter can stretch on for months without the sun, where the wind howls through endless pine forests and across the vast frozen sea, people have always sought ways to explain their fear of nature. And among countless myths, there is one creature both terrifying and mysterious, embodying contradictions within the hearts of the native people, Kushtaka, the otter men. When telling this legend, elders of the Tlingit or Tsimshian often begin with a solemn voice, their eyes fixed on the misty horizon, as if the spirit of Kushtaka were lurking somewhere close, listening. For Kushtaka is not merely a fictional figure meant to frighten children. To the people of Alaska, it represents both fear and hope, darkness and light embodied in a half-human, half-otter form. Alaska, a land of harshness and faith in myth. To understand why the Kushtaka legend endures so strongly, one must picture the life of Alaska's native peoples hundreds of years ago. They lived between the icy seas where wild storms raged and drifting ice threatened survival, and the deep forests, where predators prowled and the cold could kill a lost traveler within hours. In such a harsh environment, every venture, whether setting out to fish, to hunt seals, or simply to cross the woods for firewood, carried the risk of never returning. And so, the stories of Kushtaka became a way to explain loss. When a man never returned from a hunting trip, people might whisper, "Perhaps the Kushtaka took him away." According to tradition, Kushtaka are creatures with the form of half-human, half-otter, tall, powerful, with eyes that gleam in the darkness. They possess the power to shapeshift, sometimes taking the form of a familiar loved one, a friend, to lure a lost soul, other times becoming a true otter, slipping away between the icy waves. But unlike many monsters of legend that exist only to destroy, the Kushtaka embody two opposing faces. Sometimes they are merciless, transforming their victims into their own kind, a soul with no path back to humanity. Yet at other times, the Kushtaka become saviors, using their supernatural powers to rescue those on the brink of freezing to death, granting them another form of existence. The fear of becoming lost in snow and ice. Imagine this: you are a Tlingit hunter living centuries ago. At dawn, you leave your hut, following the tracks of seals across the frozen sea. The sun hangs low on the horizon, but it offers little warmth. The sky grows dim, the snow begins to fall heavily. You try to recall the way back, yet the stone markers, the forests, the rivers, everything has vanished into a blinding sea of white. In that moment, as your heart begins to pound, as your hands grow numb and your body weary, you hear a sound. It might be laughter echoing faintly, or perhaps a desperate cry for help. Then you realize it is the voice of a friend, a loved one who had passed away before. They are calling you, pleading with you to follow. This is the very moment the Kushtaka appears. With their gift of shape-shifting, they often use familiar voices to deceive their victims. Some tales recount how people have seen the Kushtaka manifest before them. With the face of a lost loved one, arms open in welcome: if you follow, you will never return. Light and darkness in the form of the Kushtaka. What makes the legend of the Kushtaka unique is the contradiction at its core. To many Alaskan tribes, the Kushtaka is the embodiment of evil, the cause of disappearances, a curse that cannot be undone. Once captured by the Kushtaka, a person ceases to be human, transformed into one of them, half human, half-otter forever denied reunion with family. Yet in other stories, the Kushtaka takes on the form of a guardian spirit. When they encounter someone freezing to death in the forest, they may appear, transforming that soul to save it from vanishing into the icy void. Though the person never returns as human, at least they continue to exist as Kushtaka, instead of disappearing completely. In the world of the Alaskans, where life and death are as fragile as the thin line between firelight and blizzard winds, the Kushtaka stands as a symbol of the threshold. A being that exists between two worlds, the realm of humans and the spirit realm, man and beast, salvation and destruction. An elder of the Tlingit once told this tale. Long ago, when the tribes were still small, a man went hunting in the forest. He walked and walked until nightfall, when he suddenly heard his young son calling to him from afar. Heart pounding, he ran after the voice, believing the child had wandered off. But as he drew closer, he saw it was not his son at all, but a creature with glowing eyes and fur dripping wet. It laughed loudly and stretched out its hand. The man screamed and fled. By morning, they found him collapsed in the snow, his hands still trembling. From that day on, he never hunted alone again. That story has been told and retold, passed down as a warning to future generations: never wander alone in the deep forest or across the frozen sea. And if you hear a familiar voice calling to you in the darkness, run, for it may be the Kushtaka. The Kushtaka in imagination. In the wooden carvings of the Tlingit people, the Kushtaka is often depicted as a hybrid between man and otter: large round eyes, sharp teeth, a powerful frame, and fingers stretched into claw-like talons. Sometimes, they are shown standing by a river, as if just emerging from the water. Yet strangely, no two depictions of the Kushtaka are ever exactly the same. Each storyteller envisions it differently, shaped by their own experiences and fears. Some see the Kushtaka as gentle, with warm, almost compassionate eyes; others see it as ferocious, with eyes burning like fire. As these stories of the Kushtaka have been passed down through generations, they became more than just tales to frighten children into sitting still in the hut, or warnings to hunters not to stray too far into the forest. Behind the image of this half-human, half-otter being, the people of Alaska embedded a deeper meaning about nature, about death, about life, and about the human soul. To see the Kushtaka as nothing more than a monster is to miss its truest essence. It is a living symbol of life's contradictions, where good and evil intertwine, where death itself may open a doorway into another form of existence. Kushtaka, the embodiment of nature's fear. Above all, the Kushtaka reflects the greatest fear of the Alaskan people: the terror of becoming lost and dying in the cold. In this land, to be lost is not merely common, it is tragic. Just a few hours in the blizzard winds can drain the body of heat, stiffen the hands, and blur the mind. The native people describe this as the moment when the soul departs from the body. And when the body of the missing is never found, there is only one explanation: the Kushtaka has taken them. The Kushtaka is the very embodiment of death. By freezing, it appears at one's weakest moment, lures with familiar voices, and then transforms a person into something else. The legend thus becomes a way to explain sudden, unseen death, a way to turn senseless loss into a story that gives order to chaos. Kushtaka, the spirit standing between two worlds. Yet the Kushtaka is not only fear, it also carries another face, the face of a spirit of transformation. Some tales tell of Kushtaka saving those on the edge of death by transforming them into new beings. This holds profound meaning in Alaskan culture, where death is always near. Instead of letting the soul dissolve into nothingness, the Kushtaka grants another form of existence. Here, the Kushtaka is like a gatekeeper standing at the threshold between life and death, between the human world and the spirit realm. It decides who will continue in a new body, and who will be swallowed by the darkness. In many cultures, there are deities with a similar role, such as Anubis of Egypt, who guides souls to the afterlife. The Kushtaka, in Alaska's own way, is such a being, yet with the form of a beastly hybrid, at once familiar and strange, both near and distant. Shape-shifting, a metaphor for human nature. The Kushtaka's ability to shapeshift is not merely a chilling detail of folklore. It carries symbolic weight. Humans themselves can change in nature when confronted with trials. When the Kushtaka mimics the voice of a loved one to deceive the lost, it is a reminder: do not be fooled by illusions, hold fast to reason. When the Kushtaka transforms a victim into one of its own, it serves as another reminder: every loss leaves a mark, and no one returns unchanged after passing through darkness. In this sense, the Kushtaka is a mirror reflecting human fragility, reflecting the capacity for transformation when pushed to the limits. Two faces of good and evil, a message of balance. A unique aspect of the Kushtaka is that it cannot be placed wholly in the realm of good or evil. Some stories cast it as a demon, others as a benefactor. This duality reflects the Alaskan view of nature: nature is neither good nor bad. It can kill you in an instant, but it can also sustain you. A snowstorm may bury an entire village, yet it may also drive fish closer to shore. Kushtaka, with its two opposing faces, is the perfect symbol of this philosophy. It teaches humans to respect nature, to remain ever watchful, but also to be grateful for what nature bestows. Kushtaka, a symbol of memory and loss. In many stories, the Kushtaka often appears in the form of a deceased loved one. This carries another layer of meaning: it is the embodiment of memory and the pain of loss. The people of Alaska believe that when someone disappears, their soul does not vanish completely. The Kushtaka may wear their face, returning like a ghost of memory. Yet to follow it means losing oneself entirely. Here, the Kushtaka serves as a reminder: cherish memory, but do not let it lead you astray. A person who becomes too consumed by grief may lose themselves, just as a wanderer who follows a familiar voice in the wind will never return. The legend as the ancestors' counsel. With all these layers of meaning, the Kushtaka is not merely a fictional being, but a living lesson. Elders tell the stories to remind their children and grandchildren. Do not wander alone in the forest. Do not let the cold cloud your mind. Do not trust the illusions that deceive your senses. Always remember that nature both nurtures and tests us. The legend becomes an unspoken moral code, a survival guide wrapped in the strange, haunting form of a monster. The Kushtaka in the modern world. Today, with cell phones, GPS, and insulated clothing, one might think that the Kushtaka is nothing more than an old tale. But that is not entirely true. In many communities, people still speak of the Kushtaka as part of their identity. It is a reminder that their ancestors once survived in the ice through faith, through stories. Some even say that the Kushtaka truly exists somewhere, hidden among the forests and desolate shores. There are those who claim to have seen a strange dark figure slip into the water, or heard a mysterious voice calling to them while hunting. Whatever the truth may be, the Kushtaka still lives not only in imagination, but in collective memory, in the belief that an unseen force always watches over humanity. When we listen to stories of the Kushtaka, we realize that this legend does not belong only to Alaska, but to every place where humans must face the raw power of nature. The Kushtaka is the whisper of the ancestors, reminding us that life is fragile, that humankind never stands above nature, but remains only a part of its eternal cycle. It is both terrifying and sacred, the Kushtaka reminds us that in every icy wind, in every lost step, there may still be a doorway opening a passage into another world. And perhaps it is this very truth that makes the Kushtaka one of the most mysterious creatures of legend. It is not merely a monster to be feared, but a mirror reflecting the human soul on its endless journey between light and darkness.